Yo, turn the lights down low and the drama up. She's late, she's loud, and she live. Woo! You already know who it is. Shades 2, baby. She back again. Crowd lit, vibe on 10. Shay walk in like we back again. News, tea, jokes and spins. She don't do small talk, she go in. From the headlines to the comment section, she call names with no correction. You tuned in, don't act brand new. It's late night, baby, she got that view.
It's late night with Shay.
She say what she want and laughs all day. Live on Shay's tube, press replay. You thought I lacked game, back again.
It's late night with Shay.
She say what she want and laughs all day. Live on Shay's tube, press replay. You thought I left, nah, I'm back again. Popcorn ready, wig on alert. She dropped one line, is somebody hurt? Talk show queen with a side of roast. She run this thing from coast to coast. Late on purpose, still on time. She hit you with shade, then call it a rhyme. Talk smart, talk slick, talk flame. Say the name right, yeah, late night with Shay.
It's late night with Shay.
She say what she want and laughs all day. Live on Shay's tube, press replay. You thought I left, nah, I'm back again.
It's late night with Shay.
She say what she want and laughs all day. Live on Shay's tube, press replay. You thought I left, nah, I'm back again. That's right. News, drama, laughs, whatever else you feel like. One mic, one queen. Late night with Shay. On Shay's tube, she back again.
It's late night with Shay.
Yeah, she say what she want and laughs all day. Live on Shay's tube, press replay. You thought I left, nah, I'm back again.
It's late night with Shay.
She say what she want and laughs all day. Live on Shay's tube, press replay. You thought I left, nah, I'm back again. Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to Shay's Tube. Shay's Tube Late Night Owls Talk Time. Guys, we're not going to be in here for real this long. I just want to come back tonight to let you guys know about Diddy's denied bail and what possibly he could be doing next, and what the Diddy's attorney is thinking about. And we're going to go over the Mann Act, okay? So you go get you something to drink, a relaxing seat. You know, if you're at work, continue to do your job and watch and listen to me on the down low. And we are getting ready to start off with this live. But before we do that live, let me ask you guys to go ahead and thumbs up this video if you enjoy this content. Also, if you are not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe below and hit that bell notification so you can be notified of any upcoming videos. And thank you guys so much for, doing that. Let's go ahead and do that copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. That entire copyright disclaimer is in my description area. Part of it is scrolling across the screen, and it will be in my comment section as soon as I get a chance to do it. All right, guys? All right. Welcome to everybody in the bushes, everybody who watches this in the replay. Over here in the chat, we got Jermaine in the place to be. What's up, Jermaine? What's up? What's up? Jermaine said you can show some additional support by doing a super sticker, super chat, Cash App at $Shades 2, or copy yourself a membership for $4.99, and we do appreciate the real ones. Thank you, Jermaine. Thank you so much. All right, guys. I came in here a little earlier because this live won't be long because I did do 2 other lives already, I believe, on Diddy and then on my country Wayne. So this is the 3rd live for the day. So that's a lot of lives, you guys. It is. So I decided to come in here and do this one really, a little bit earlier and a little bit quicker. All right. So anyway, let me put my music on in the background. Then we're going to go ahead and start off. Let's do this one. haven't heard that in a long time. All right. So anyway, guys, as we know, Diddy was acquitted today of his most serious charge, the RICO, okay, the racketeering conspiracy charges, okay, but he was found guilty on 2 transportation for the P word, I believe, if I said that correctly. I may have said a little bit different, but basically it's those 2, and that is involving Jane Doe, Cassie, and male escorts. Okay. Anyway, hold on. Let me what was I gonna do? Oh, let me get the banners real quick. Hold on. Let me just change this up here real quick, you guys. Hold on. So as we already know, let me edit this real quick. Let's hide this and edit this first. So as we already know, his bail was denied again. And I honestly felt like the Judge Aaron, was going to deny his bail again because he has denied every single one before. And so I figured he would do it. I was hoping that he wasn't going to deny it, but I kind of figured he was. It seems like, I don't know if this is true, it just seems like Judge Aaron does not like Diddy at all. I don't know. Because you would think that he would have looked at, put in consideration about the fact that Diddy has not been in jail, charged with anything. I mean, he was bought up, but he was found not guilty. All right, and that was a long, long time ago. But as far as anything recently, his criminal history is okay. Now, as far as his conduct in jail, I do recall one thing that they was talking about he did with the phones. I think that, and then maybe one other thing, but otherwise, everything else was good. His attorney even clarified that. And I don't see him, if they would have let him out on bail and had him with the ankle monitor on, he didn't really have to agree to, going to all the other states, having permission to go to Florida, California. He could have just told them, no, you have to stay in New York, New Jersey, and that's it. You basically got to be at your house. You can't come out only to go to doctor's appointments or trial related or something like that. He could have made it very harsh, guidelines. And I don't understand why he just couldn't do that. And then, like I told y'all earlier, he did get some letters from Cassie and the other guy that I read earlier today. And I figured he would, you know what I'm saying? And they claimed they were scared that he may retaliate or something like that. But the thing is, I mean, what's going to happen when he gets out of prison in 3-4 years? Okay. What will they say then? Or if they appeal this, which I'm thinking that his defense attorneys will appeal this bail denied. So if he appealed this and just say, I think that's the appellate court or something, they go ahead and approve it, then he still will be out. And I don't think that he would try to do anything because it would mess everything up. And, so why would he do anything so stupid like that? Now, Judge Submaranian said that the reason why he denied the bail, Jermaine had it up here already, but I'm going to read the actual thing because I did place that up on my community board. But the judge said he has a propensity for violence, but he hasn't ever been convicted of a violent crime. But I think, like I said before, they are definitely looking at that. They're going Cassie's tape and how he just beat that girl up. So even though he's not on charge, he's not on trial, he wasn't on trial for domestic violence, I think they are still looking at that. And that's a big reason why I think that is a big reason that I believe they went so hard on him as well. And I told y'all earlier that I thought that was going to play a role into everything, that right there. Okay, so let me see here. I did screenshot all of that. Let me see, what did I have on here regarding that? Hold on for a minute, y'all. Let me check it and see. Oh, let's see. This thing gonna take a long time because I got stuff saved on my phone. So where is it at? Let's see. Hold on, I got to find it first, y'all. So anyway, like I said, the judge decided to deny the bill because he recalled the videotape, the violence that was starkly depicted in the 2016 hotel security footage showed him physically assaulting his then girlfriend Cassie Ventura. So Judge Submaranian called Combs domestic violence a propensity for violence, and that is basically the reason why he denied his bail. All right. I still say he could have, let him go ahead and get out on bail. It just made very, very, very hard, strict guidelines that he had to follow. And if he violated any of those, then he would immediately be back in prison. And I believe he would have followed them. They could have even said, well, we can't let him, no computers, okay, no social media. You cannot go to Florida. You cannot go to California or anywhere else. You have to stay in New York. You know what I'm saying? No visitors. They could have made it really, really strict, until his sentencing. And you guys already know that his sentencing will be in October. Like I told y'all earlier, usually in a Fed case, they usually do the sentencing between 75 and I think I said 90 days. And sometimes it can take longer. But they did his pretty quick. So we did calculate that correctly when we said around October. All right. So that's when his sentence will be. I think it's October the 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. I'm doing all of this top off of my head. So if I'm wrong or something, sorry about that. But I think it is October the 3rd. I have to go look at my notes just to clarify that. All right. So let's see what else we got here. So like I said, he was found guilty on 2 counts of transportation for the P word. And the reason why he was found guilty on 2 counts of transportation for the P word is because of the violation of the Mann Act, okay? Now, that makes it a federal crime to transport someone across state or national borders for the purpose of the P word, okay? PROSTITUTION, okay? This charge differs from X trafficking, okay? Where the person is compelled to engage in commercial X through force, fraud, or coercion. Now, while Combs was acquitted of racketeering and X trafficking, the transportation charges carry a potential sentence up to 20 years, with each count carrying a maximum of 10 years. However, the prosecution is only asking for 4 to 5 years, and he will get time served. So if we take a year off of that, or what did I say, 4 or 5 years, or did I say 3? I'm trying to think, what did he say? I think they said 4 or 5 years. So then he'll basically serve 3 or 4 years. All right, because by the time the sentences is here, he would have been incarcerated for a year already. All right, I believe a year, or almost a year. All right, because I think it is a year and 1 month, because I think he went to jail in September, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember. Okay, so we'll talk about the Mann Act in a minute, but let's go ahead and finish this. Hold on. So anyway, hold on, let me see what else I got here. I was talking about the bail was denied. So like I said, we hope that Attorney Agnifilo, we hope that he basically go ahead and do an appeal. All right, and that appeal can take anywhere from a couple of days or weeks to a couple months. But since we have a high profile crime right here, not crime, but a high profile criminal case, they'll probably make it a little bit quicker. So we estimate that if Mark Agnifilo does an appeal, he may be able to go to a hearing sometime in early July. to ask for release. Okay, that's only if the attorney pushes for an appeal. Now, I did read some information earlier regarding his 2 transportation of the P word convictions. So, attorney Agnifilo said that he's thinking about doing an appeal. Okay, and actually, me and Jermaine was talking about that earlier, and we were wondering if Diddy's attorney would do an appeal. Okay, because transportation for the P word, okay, for Cassie and Jane Doe, how's that possible? All right. You said pre-sentencing conference is July the 8th. Thank you, Jermaine. Next Tuesday. So is that where he can ask for appeal or what? So like I was saying, the 2 charges for Cassie and Jane Doe, right? For transportation of the P word. We was trying to figure out how did they, say that would be, that is transportation of for the P word, the let me see, call girl thing. We'll put it like that. How could they say that? Because Cassie and Jane Doe were dating him. Okay. But when we looked at this a little bit further, they also have the male escorts in there. Now, one could argue though, with the male escorts, it depends, because I thought I read in text messages where seandiddycombs was discussing payment and things like that for the male escorts. I'm not sure. But anyway, just say if he didn't. I don't know for sure, but I thought that he did. How is it that they know what he was talking about unless he put it in text messages? Because if these are male escorts, right, that means that you're paying for them to escort. Who's to say he wasn't paying them for that at first? You see what I'm saying? He wasn't paying them for escorting. And then once, he hired these people and they came by and did whatever service he hired them for, escorting or whatever, then he decided, that, somehow, some way they ended up having relations. But he had paid him already for his escort services. So I wonder if Agnifilo, if he does an appeal, really use something like that. The only way he can use that is if seandiddycombs basically said what he was paying these escorts for. And there are only 2 counts of transportation for the P word, which involves Jane Doe and Cassie, and then I believe the male escorts. So I'm just trying to figure out, how did they get what was the evidence that they had to make them say that he's guilty for those 2 charges? Because how could he be transporting Cassie and Jane Doe for the P word when they were dating and things like that? Because for real, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know for sure, I'm trying to figure out if he had anything in his text messages where he talked about, the freak offs, and he was talking about payment and things like that. Now with the escorts, if he did a text message where he basically said, I'm going to give me some men or whatever so they can come out here, we can have X and I'll pay them. So I wonder if he said something like that, because I know he talked about them, but I'm trying to figure out what exactly did he say. Because if Agnifilo is thinking about appeal, what is he using? What is he basing this appeal on? That's what I'm trying to say. If they have concrete evidence that seandiddycombs did the 2 charges that they have him on, traveling, taking them across the state lines or whatever the case is, transporting 2 people, which is Cassie and Jane Doe, across state lines for the purpose of the P word. And that's according to the court documents. How did they come about that though? That's what I'm trying to say. What pointed to that to make them say and to convict him on that? Hmm. Let's see what else we got here. So anyway, it says transporting, okay, two individuals, okay, for the purpose of across state lines for the purpose of the P word. So the term roster, you know what I'm talking about, refers to the activity itself. Because somebody was asking, I think it was Jermaine was asking me, if he got charged those two counts, why couldn't he get X trafficking too? Because X trafficking is different from transporting the person for how do they put this? Let's see, let me make sure I get this right. It's different than transporting two people across state lines for the purpose of the you know what word. Okay. So the term prosta, you know what I'm talking about, TUTE, refers to, I didn't spell the whole thing, I just spelled the ending, refers to the individual who engages in actual activity for payment, while the prosta in TION, it refers to the activity itself. All right. So in essence, a PROSTITUTE is a person, and PROSTITUTION is the act or practice they undertake. So when they said transporting two people across state lines for the purpose of the prosta TION, then they're talking about transporting them so they can engage in the act of it. Okay? Isn't that crazy? It's crazy, isn't it? So that's a reason why they couldn't get him on X trafficking, because X trafficking involves force, coercion, and something else. Okay? Coercion and force. The transportation over state lines for the purpose of prosta TION does not involve force, coercion, and the other third thing. All right. All right. Now, let's see. I don't know what else I got here. It's a lot of stuff, y'all. So then we talk about the Mann Act, because they used the Mann Act on him. Okay. All right. That's what they used on him. And we talked about the Mann Act the other day, you know, when Jermaine brought it up. And because at first I was like, there's no way he's guilty of transporting, you know, anybody anywhere for the purpose of the prosta TION thing. However, with the Mann Act, it states that the federal law prohibits the transportation of people across state lines or international lines for the purpose of the PROSTITUTION or other immoral activities. But the catch is that it can even be consensual. So that's why they use the Mann Act, because even if Cassie and Jane Doe consented to that, he still cannot transport them over state lines for the purpose of the TION, you know, thing. All right. Now, the transportation charge focuses on the act of moving someone for the prosta TION thing, regardless of whether they are coerced or not. And I just said that. Now, X trafficking, on the other hand, requires proving that the person was forced, defrauded, or coerced into commercial X. And so that's the part that they found him not guilty. And that would have been one of those elements of the RICO. So I'm glad they did find him not guilty of that, but they did find him guilty of transporting them across state lines for the purpose of PROSTITUTION, but it wasn't coerced, they wasn't defrauded or forced. It was consensual, but you still can't do that because it's illegal. All right. So let me see what else I got here. Hold on, let me go ahead and look this up again, because I don't got everything here. Let's see. Or do I? That's the same thing. Let me erase this. I don't know why I be having all this stuff be the same thing. So before we get back to that, let me just tell y'all about the Mann Act real quick. So the Mann Act is also known as the White Slave Traffic Act, okay? It's a United States federal law enacted in 1910. It primarily prohibits the transportation of individuals across state lines or international borders for the purpose of the prostitution or other extra activity. The act was initially intended to combat forced, whilst, what I'm talking about, inhuman trafficking, but its broad language regarding immoral purposes led to its use in other contexts. All right. So anyway, who wrote the Mann Act? The Mann Act, like I told you the other day, was by Illinois Congressman James Robert Mann. The Mann Act made it a crime to transport women across state lines for the purpose of the P word or debauchery or for any other immoral purposes, okay? Let's see what else I got here. Okay, hold on, y'all. Let me do this. Okay, let me go on my other thing to get the rest of the stuff. Because I screenshot some, but I didn't screenshot all, okay? Because when I be out working and stuff, it'd be hard to do all this. Hold on, let me just type this in here real quick. So they used this, like I said, on Sean Combs, and that's how they got that conviction, okay, for those 2 counts of transportation over, what do you call that? Transportation, for the act for, to do the P word, all right? State lines, cross state lines. So anyway, this act was designed to address the perceived problem of white slavery, which referred to the forced transportation of women and girls across state lines for the P word. All right. Now, some key provisions. The law makes it a federal crime to transport men or women across state lines for the P word, debauchery, or any other immoral purposes. They did do some amendments. The Mann Act has been amended over time. In 1978, in 1986, Congress updated the definition of transportation and clarified the types of actual activity covered under the law. Now, like I said, they have had a lot of critics. They have pointed out that the Mann Act has been used in cases beyond its original intent, sometimes to prosecute people involved in consensual extra activity, especially in situations involving interstate travel. Okay? So that's what they used on Sean Combs. And even though it was consensual, he was still charged. Okay? Because it's illegal. So in a recent case, which is Seandiddycombs, he was convicted on 2 counts of violating the Mann Act, specifically for transporting individuals for the P word. So I'm still trying to figure out if Mark Agnifilo does an appeal, what will he base this on? He's a lawyer, so he definitely know more than I do. So I'm pretty sure he knows. I'm just wondering. Now, the Mann Act remains a relevant piece of legislation through its application and interpretation have evolved over time, particularly regarding its use in prosecuting consensual sexual acts, in which they just did with Sean Diddy Combs. All right? That's what they just did. So the famous people who were convicted besides Combs of the Mann Act is the heavyweight champion of the world, Jack Johnson, as well as Charlie Chaplin, the comedian, and later Chuck Berry, who was a singer, right? They were all prosecuted and convicted under the Mann Act, just like I told y'all the other day. Okay? So he was the first person accused of breaking the Mann Act in 1913 in response to his relationship with Lucille Cameron, who was alleged to be a white prostitute. He was the first person to be persecuted under the act. So he had some relationship with some white women, and that, so that, they claim he violated the White Slave Traffic Act of 1910, better known as the Mann Act, okay? Okay, let's see what else we got here. So let me just type in one more thing. Hold on, y'all. Let's see. Let me type this in real quick. Let's see if they go into strict details about that. They also use this, let's see. They also use the Mann Act with R. Kelly and Ghislaine Maxwell. And they did amend it again in the 80s, like I said before, to clarify its focus on prostitution and other criminal extra activity, particularly concerning minors, okay? Hold on, let me look at this one right here. Hold on, y'all, let me see if they're going to tell me more on this. So let's see. They say Combs was convicted of counts involving two former girlfriends, R&B singer Cassie and Jane Doe. Both women said at the trial that Combs had pressured them into degrading ex-marathons with strangers who were paid for the extra performances. Jane said she was once beaten by Combs for declining to participate. Cassie said that when she tried to walk out of one such event, Combs beat her and dragged her down a hotel hallway. Okay, so I guess that is the reason why they used the Mann Act on Combs and got him with 2 counts of transporting these 2 women over state lines for the purpose of the P word. All right. I'm thinking in those text messages, I'm not sure, because we did read some text messages earlier today, me and Jermaine, and I can't remember if we read anything where he was talking about the escorts or not. So let's see. The only issues when you appeal, you have to prove your innocence, right? And that's how I'm trying to figure out how will attorney Mark Agnafilo, how is he going to prove that Sean Diddy Combs is innocent of the 2 charges he was convicted of if they have text messages where he's talking about it? And because of course he could say, I was not transporting them for no purpose of the P word, it just happened. But if he has text messages, right? If they have evidence, text messages where he's talking about it and explaining what is going to take place and the money is involved, that speaks for itself. They definitely are going to be under more scrutiny. I'm just trying to recall all of those text messages, which is hard. When you read the one earlier today, Jermaine, did it say anything about, having them have entanglements with the male escorts? Now, with the male escorts, again, unless he has it in some type of text messaging, that would be proof of something like that. I guess his attorney could argue again that Combs did not hire male escorts to perform actual services. It wasn't. I thought so. So how would they be able to? How would the attorney be able to do an appeal then if it's in the text messages? If it's in the text messages and it's clear, because if it wasn't in there, then he could have easily said, well, no. I hired, these male escorts to come to do XC scenes. All right. And I paid them for that service. Okay. And I gave them a tip, because you can call the escort service and see how much they charge. All right. So you can say, I paid him for his service and I gave them a tip because they did a good job. And how we came about to engage in, what activity is because we found each other to be attractive. You know what I'm saying? And we decided to do that. But, I didn't pay them for that. But since he got that inside of text messages, it's going to be, you can't even use that. That's how he got the 2 charges. Because allegedly he paid these escorts to have entanglements with the 2 ex-girlfriends that he transported over state lines to engage in actual entanglements with these male escorts. And that's probably why he got those 2 convictions. And I'm just trying to figure out, how can Mark Agnifilo do an appeal? He didn't say he was 100% anyway. He said he's thinking about it. So thinking about it means that he's thinking about it, and he might do it and he might not. And appeals can take a year or so to be seen, heard, and things like that too. So I don't know if he will actually do an appeal or not. But he said he might do an appeal. Okay. So let's see here. Let me see what else I got right here real quick. Let's see what else we got here. Anything different? Now, they said that Diddy's verdict shows that the feds overreached when they call him a mob boss. And that's what the ex-prosecutors say. And I said they was reaching too. That's why I said I didn't see no RICO, until we started looking at all these definitions. And I was like, it could be because of the ex-trafficking. But because I thought at that time, maybe they said that he, forced or coerced people into, Cassie and Jane Doe into doing this. But they voted not guilty on that, so it is what it is. So let's see. They say Sean Diddy Combs was cleared on Wednesday of racketeering and ex-trafficking charges. The verdict shows the feds overreached when they called him a mob boss. That's what the former prosecutors say. The jury also believed what Combs' accusers said in old texts more than what they said in the testimony. So those text messages were the thing. Okay. So that's why you can't be texting everything, because that's what did him in that damn videotape. Sean Diddy Combs was not running a criminal racket, and the women who took the witness stand to describe unspeakable sexual abuse were not ultimately believable. Okay, so Jermaine, you was right there. Former federal prosecutors said these are the 2 messages sent back by a Manhattan jury in Wednesday's bombshell verdict, acquitting the hip-hop mogul on racketeering and actual trafficking charges that could have jailed him for life. Okay, right. Stop texting that. But you was right, Jermaine, when you said they didn't believe them women. You were right. They said they don't think he's a mob boss. I think that's the bottom line that explains this verdict. And this is said by Ephraim Sabat, who is a former federal prosecutor in New York. He said they were overreaching, and in my view, it was a mistake. The jury just rejected the entire notion wholesale. And then they spoke to 5 other former federal and state prosecutors from New York, and 4 of them agreed that it was an overreach to bring a racketeering case. To find Combs guilty of racketeering, jurors had to find that he committed at least 2 criminal acts Jurors had a long menu of potential crimes to choose from, including kidnapping, arson, Diddy, DRUG distribution, and crimes directly relating to his two accusers, former girlfriends Cassie Ventura and a woman who testified as Jane. Prosecutors did not greet their challenge empty-handed. They showed jurors hotel, bank, and flight records, corroborating that on dozens of occasions, Combs paid for Cassie, Jane, and male escorts to cross state lines. There you go, for the so-called freak-offs, the days-long drug-free ex-performances at the heat of the trial. And that's why they gave him 2 counts of transporting Cassie and Jane Doe across state lines for the purpose of the P word. And I can't see how attorney Mark Agafillo would even be filing an appeal. But I'm not a lawyer, so he may still be able to file one. Okay? Because it's right there. They show those jurors, hotel, bank, and flight records, corroborating that on dozens of occasions, Combs paid for Cassie and Jane and male escorts to cross state lines for the so-called freak-offs. Okay? There you go. Okay? So the split verdict, guilty of transporting for purposes of the P word for both women, though not guilty of anything else, showed this pile of travel records was indeed compelling. So they used that. But for the racketeering count, the top count in the indictment, the jury needed 2 kinds of crimes, not just transporting alone. The jury needed separate racketeering acts, said former Manhattan prosecutor Michael Beckshner. That may be why on Monday, their first day of the deliberations, they sent the judge a note requesting clarification on the law for the DD, DRUG distribution. Okay? They had to find Combs guilty of running a criminal enterprise to begin with, the legal expert explains. Okay? They needed to find that he conspired with others to run Bad Boy Entertainment and Combs Global as a hybrid criminal and legitimate concern. Under the racketeering law, that means they needed to find that Combs diverted resources and staff from his legitimate business ventures in order to distribute DRUGS or force employees to work without pay or to traffic Cassie and Jane at some 15 years of freak-offs were held in luxury hotel suites across the country. The jury did not believe that any of the above was a racket, the former prosecutor explained. Instead, they believed the defense, which argued that any potentially illegal acts were just personal, consensual behavior. See? So they believed that everything was consensual. Where Sean messed up at is when he took those 2 women in the escorts over state lines for the purpose to engage in the P word, point blank. Okay? And he had it in text messages. Now, this might demonstrate sort of the outer bounds of the government's use of racketeering, said Sarah Krisoff, attorney at Cousin O'Connor and a former federal prosecutor in Manhattan. Because the government has sort of decided that they can use racketeering charges on everything, and maybe this demonstrates that maybe this is the edge and we've gone past it now, she said. Prosecutors may have pursued a racketeering conspiracy charge because that charge let them introduce evidence going back 10 years, okay, according to the lawyer, well past the statute of limitation. Given the facts of this prosecution, I think it was a stretch, even though I think the evidence was there. Okay? So those decades of text messages is what did him in. It painted a muddled picture of freak-offs. So they said that the jury may have been thrown by decades of text messages in which Jane and Cassie expressed enthusiasm for freak-offs, often in graphic language. So the text messages, some of them did him good and some didn't. All right. Now, in testimony, the women countered that they were only telling the coercive and volatile Combs what he wanted to hear in order to keep him happy and themselves safe. Please. All right. What about when you weren't around him? These defense lawyers, a team of 8, led by veteran defense attorney Mark Agnafilo, argued that perhaps the women regret their choices now. But the text messages show that at the time, the defense argued the two were eager and consensual participants in these hotel threesomes with a succession of paid men. And while they sometimes complained in enriching terms about their humiliation and disgust, Ventura and Jane only did so when they were jealous or felt Combs was not giving them enough love and affection. And that's what the defense argued. Both women conceded in testimony that they repeatedly split with Combs only to return back to him. Now, it is a pattern that a prosecution expert termed trauma bonding. Still, the expert forensic psychiatrist Don Hughes, who also testified in the R. Kelly trial, was allowed to testify only in general terms, a limitation that may have hurt the prosecution, said attorney Nadia Shihata. Shihata, now in private practice, just like the other ones, was one of the federal prosecutors who tried R. Kelly on racketeering. She didn't call the charge against Combs an overreach. Instead, she said the prosecution was hindered when Hughes' testimony was limited. She said this was a difficult case. She told Business Insider, given that Hughes was barred from discussing their specific circumstances. It's hard for jurors to understand why a person would stay in a relationship with certain things when certain things are happening. Now, so anyway, talking about R. Kelly, he was convicted in 2021 on all 9 counts of racketeering, which were predicated on crimes including sexual exploitation of children, forced labor, and the Mann Act violations. So here you have an adult relationships that are very complex, that span many years, said former federal prosecutor Mark Chutkow. The Combs case is, in that respect, different from the R. Kelly case, which involved underage girls. The defense in this case did a good job of sowing doubt as to whether or not this was truly forced fraud or coercion by showing communications that indicated that the women were still affectionate toward Diddy. Whether or not he emotionally manipulated the women through love is not something that a juror is going to consider to be criminal. Just as I was telling Jermaine earlier, I said that he definitely, at least I think, that he could have used manipulation tactics. However, manipulation tactics are not illegal unless you add it with something that is illegal. Okay? So let's read your stuff. He says, so anyone in a swingers lifestyle who travels to multiple states will violate the Mann Act. Yeah, according to what they say. In the context of the Mann Act, debauchery isn't just people getting freaky. It's a moral and legal weaponized rule that basically means excessive indulgence in extra pleasures that is considered immoral, corrupt, or depraved by societal standards. This shit is so vague. It sure is. That's why a lot of people don't like the Mann Act, okay? And that's why in some states, you know, the legal system, they can't use it, okay? Certain states, we went over that too, they cannot use it because it's so, what is the word I'm looking for? A lot of people criticize that Mann Act, all right? You know, just like with seandiddycombs, they used the Mann Act in order to get those 2 convictions of transporting these women over state lines for the P word. All right. So they used that for that, even though it was consensual. You know what I'm saying? They still used it. So again, Mark Agnafilo said that he's thinking about appealing. And I'm pretty sure if he does appeal, he knows, you know, why and how he can do it. So let's see. See what else we got here. So when he goes up for sentencing in a couple of months, I wonder if the judge will sentence him to prison or if he would do home confinement or put him on probation. Considering, I'm not doing this, considering his record with Sean Diddy Combs, I don't see it. I see him actually sentencing him to prison, probably the maximum amount that they asked for, which is 4 or 5 years. And so he will have time served. So he would basically do 4 years if they give him 5, or 3 years if they give him 4. And so I don't see him, the judge, sentencing him to probation or home confinement. He might though, he might, but I'm just saying, I don't see it. But he might, he could. So let's see. So we already got that. We don't need it again. Let's see what else we got. Okay, let's see. I think that's it. Let me see. Hold on. Oh, no, let me see what Mark Agnafilo said here. And so Mark Agnafilo said today is a great day. Sean Diddy Combs was all on his knees at the court once they said not guilty. He was all on the floor praying basically in that position because he was so happy and stuff. And even though he wasn't granted bail, it is still, something huge to be celebrating for him. Because let me tell you something. I said this yesterday before the verdict was even in. I said that if he gets charged with 2 charges, right, and he gets up to 10 years or lesser years, that is way better than getting life in prison. Okay, can you imagine getting sentenced to life? You got to wake up in the same place forever until you pass on. It's horrible, horrible way to live. He definitely did. He definitely did in those text messages. That's why you gotta be very careful with your text because they will go back. People keep stuff, all types of stuff. You cannot be saying certain things in text messages. I'm telling you, you can't. Let me see here. What else we got here? So yeah, he said this is a great day today. He said his client was innocent from the get-go. He still says he's innocent for the transportation of Cassie and Jane Doe over state lines for the purpose of the P word. He said that his client is still innocent, and that may be a reason he might be doing the appeal. But it's not confirmed. He just said he was thinking about it. And clearly these people don't read. Somebody said 10 years for each count. Yeah, it is 10 years for each count. But the prosecutors only asked for 4 or 5 years, okay? And then people are talking about what he's going to do when he get out. If he wanted to do something, he could have already did it. Y'all need to stop, all right? Period. Y'all don't know this man and what he's going to do or anything else. And again, his attorney said today is a great victory. And he has a whole speech. I'm not going to play it, though. You guys can go check that out on your own, okay? So let's see what else I got. I think I just recapped everything, though. We can take this off because they definitely overreached. Those lawyers are correct. So like I said, Sean Diddy Combs did drop to his knees when the verdict was read. I know y'all already seen it. I told y'all earlier he did it too. So here's a sketch of it. If I can show it, let's see if they're going to show the sketch. He is right here. He was thanking God for real, wasn't he? His family was clapping and everything, okay? And Diddy was doing this right here. Wait a minute. He was happy. He may be sleeping good tonight because he probably already. I'm pretty sure that attorney Mark Agnafilo had already told him that it's a high probability that this judge won't grant your bail, and if he doesn't, we will appeal. So he's probably still sleeping good tonight, considering he knows he's not going to be in prison for life now. And let me tell you something: if he gets 4 or 5 years, that is way easier to do, than doing life. And then he's a star anyway. He can probably buy everybody something to pay his way into nobody messing with him. Okay, and they're probably gonna have him separate. I don't know how they do that. He probably go to a certain prison anyway. I don't know where stars go if they do that. I don't know if they do that or not. Everybody in there was just cheering. He was clapping too. And his mom gave a thumbs up outside the court too. People were outside the court pouring baby oil on themselves too. That's so silly. Just doing all types of stuff. Okay, so they was happy in the courtroom. The people who were for Combs, and outside the people who were for Combs, I guess they were for Combs. They were pouring baby oil all over themselves and things like that. Sean also pumped his fist at one point when they said the first not guilty. Jury number 5 was the one who was reading the verdict. He pumped his fist. So jury number 5 pumped his fist too? Oh, wow. So juror number 5, no, they may be talking about Sean Combs pumped his fist when juror number 5 read the verdict. Okay, that's what they're talking about. So after the verdict was read, and once everyone, the judge and jury, left the courtroom, man, the applause was thunderous from his family. Okay, so his 3 daughters and his sons, his mother, and family and friends and supporters were in the courtroom Wednesday. They definitely supported him because they was at that court all the time. They were cheering and clapping. All right. Now, granted, he's not a free man, but like I said, having 3, 4, 5 years, even 10 is way better than being incarcerated for life, because life is bad. That's a long time, man. What if he lived to be 80 years old? That means he would have been in prison for a long time. So, like I said, prosecution did ask for 4 or 5 years. So this judge is kind of hardcore with him. So I'm just thinking he may give him 5 years. I don't know for sure. All right. I do not know. And a lot of people sitting up here judging this man when they know they be doing freak offs themselves, and they be picking up peas and transporting them to their house, to other cities and stuff and things like that. Don't be talking about people, okay, when you've been doing the same thing yourself. That's on everything. You just didn't get caught. But I will say this: if Combs do get out, say they do appeal and he gets out on bail, definitely he needs to follow, directions and things like that. But once he completes his sentence, when he comes out, I hope he turns, his life around completely. And I do believe that they should order him to go to some type of anonymous, not, what do you call it when you go, if you have like like if you just do the X entirely too much and you're just doing too much, he needs to go to something like that to help him with that. I can't remember the name of it. And certainly he needs to go to DRUG rehabilitation and things like that. They need to require him to go to those 2 type of things, really. Because, having people do actual marathons for hours and stuff, that's so damn weird. And just so he won't do it again, he should be made to go to some type of class like that, to help you stop doing stuff like that with this weird behavior. That's very strange. You know what I'm saying? It's very strange. I can understand you want to, be freaky and do weird stuff, and you want to have X every day or whatever the case is, but for hours and hours and hours and all this other weird shit is strange. Okay? You say you only deal with local hoes now. I don't want to violate the Mann Act. I know that's right, but don't take those local hoes down the street to be a P, because you still may get that. Okay? You know what I'm saying? And do not do text messages and phone calls. You better talk to them one-on-one, check them for a wire and everything else. Okay. So is there anything that I missed? I'm about to call you Diddy, dude. Jermaine. Anything else? I think I covered everything. I think I did. You said I didn't cover everything. What did I leave out? So Diddy is also sued again for $10 million, you guys. A male dancer claims he caught an STD and stomach cancer. This is another lawsuit, I believe. Yeah, you got another one again. This is the same one that I talked about the other day. Let me make sure. Oh no, this is another one. This dude has lawsuits every single day. All right, so that's another thing too. When he go in for these civil lawsuits, I'll be covering that too because he has a lot, 60-some lawsuits. Okay, civil. Well, somebody else just filed another lawsuit, $10 million civil lawsuit in Los Angeles from a former male dancer who says that Combs, Drugged, raped him at a luxury hotels and left him with an actually transmitted disease and stomach cancer. So, I mean, I don't know how he left him with stomach cancer, but it is what it is. So he did accuse Diddy and an unidentified woman of orchestrating multiple assaults during the late 2000s. The suit alleges sexual battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, negligence, and civil conspiracy. Okay, so the man, I think I talked about him before, if I'm not mistaken, Lawrence. I don't know for sure. His name is Edmund Laurent. He filed the complaint on July the 1st in Los Angeles Superior Court. Okay. Laurent met Diddy through modeling gigs and appearances at bachelorette parties. I think I did talk about this before. So that's another lawsuit, you guys. I mean, damn, dude. I mean, but expect to see many more of those, okay? Expect to see them. So anyway, that is it. If anything else comes up, I'll let you guys know in a live tomorrow. Now we are waiting to see if his attorney is going to do an appeal in the pre-sentencing hearing on July the 9th. So I guess then we'll talk about him again. Until then, I'll be covering other content and, anything else that comes up, Diddy. Okay, besides the trial, because the trial is basically done. Mark Agnifilo said he was just starting now. Okay. And tomorrow, guys, I'm gonna tell y'all what Suge Knight says about Tupac actions. I'll just tell you right now, part of it. He said they rolled him into a blunt, but he did not hit him. Okay, but they smoked. The other people smoked them. Okay. So I'll tell y'all about that tomorrow night when I do another live, okay? So you guys, thank you so much for checking me out on all of my lives today and everything. And don't forget to thumbs up this video if you enjoyed the content. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe below. Let me put that up here. Hold on. And hit that bell notification so you can be notified of any upcoming videos, and share and leave a comment. All right, and don't forget, guys, if you want to show additional support for the channel, you can do a super sticker, super chat, cash app, and $ Shades too, or you can copy yourself a membership for $4.99. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Check out my new Country Wayne reaction video tomorrow sometimes, and then my Night Owl Live will be tomorrow night. Have a blessed night, sleep tight, and I'll see you guys in my next video. And happy and blessed Thursday to each and every one of you guys. Thank you to everybody in the bushes, everybody who watched this in the replay, and thank you to Jermaine. All right, I appreciate you, Jermaine, for everything you do. All right, good night, y'all. Peace out. Let me go ahead and put all this stuff up here, and then we are out. All right, y'all, let's cut this music and put the outro on, and we are out of here. All right. See y'all later and take care, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out, y'all.
Yo, turn the lights down low and the drama up. She's late, she's loud, and she live. Woo! You already know who it is. Shades 2, baby. She back again. Mic hot, crowd lit, vibe on 10. Shay walk in like we back again. News, tea, jokes and spins. She don't do small talk, she go in. From the headlines to the comment section, she call names with no correction. You tuned in, don't act brand new. It's late night, baby, she got that view.
Late night with Shay.
She say what she want and laughs all day. Look on Shay's tube, press replay. You thought I let gang, back again.
It's late night with Shay.
She say what she want and laughs all day. Look on Shay's tube, press replay. You thought I left, nah, I'm back again. Popcorn ready, wig on alert. She dropped one line and somebody hurt. Talk show queen with a side of roast. She run this thing from coast to coast. Late on purpose, still on time. She hit you with shade, then call it a rhyme. Talk smart, talk slick, talk flame. Say the name right, yeah, late night with Shay.
Late night with Shay.
She say what she want and laughs all day. Live on Shay's tube, press replay. You thought I left, nah, I'm back again.
It's late night with Shay.
She say what she want and laughs all day. Live on Shay's tube, press replay. You thought I left, nah, I'm back again. That's right. News, drama, laughs, whatever else you feel like. One mic, one queen. Late night with Shay. Shay's too. She back again.
It's late night with Shay.
Yeah, she say what she want and laughs all day. Live on Shay's too.